There was no shortage of alcohol in the life as a young aspiring rock star. As we arrived at a new venue each night, there would be 2 bottles of JD waiting in our change rooms for us on arrival. And this was our daily lifestyle for many years. At the age of 22, my father was diagnosed with a terminal brain tumour and was given 6 weeks to live. Circumstances meant that I would be nursing and taking care of my father until he passed. During this time, my wife and I were expecting a baby, so I had quite a lot on my plate, nursing my pregnant wife and my father in the same house. It was only a week before my father passed in my arms that we lost our baby, and this whole period seemed like a surreal bad dream to me. I remember the night my father passed, drinking to the point where I was unable to feel anything. It was the only way I knew how to deal with the pain I was feeling. 2 days later, I experienced my first taste of anxiety. With no offers of counselling, I continued my daily life as best as I could, dousing myself daily in anything that would numb the pain. I was in a dark place. I was in a world of addiction and pain, and would not wish it on my worst enemy. Another relationship and ridden off car later, and it seemed I was now in a cycle spiralling downhill. I eventually got some counselling, which did help to begin the healing process. The next couple of years I worked on moving forward, seeing several different counsellors, psychologists, drug and alcohol counsellors, etc. I held down a steady job and seemed to be slowly moving in the right direction. With the help of a very skilled counsellor, I managed to stop drinking. This was a turning point for me, as I proved to myself I could go for a long period of time without. Although the underlying problems were still there was still pain, anxiety, depression, and each day was still a struggle. I was trying to get used to the idea this would be how it would be for the rest of my life. And I just had to deal with that. At least I wouldn't be dead from alcoholism in 5 years, right? Countless motivation videos, counselling sessions, looking into learn a new perspective on life so I could make it somewhat enjoyable. There were glimpses of joy, but right after followed the big black dog reminding me of my past trauma, some of which still hadn't been addressed. In my searches, I had heard of recent studies with Psilocybin magic mushrooms and people with major depressive disorder, and had heard of some promising results, so I decided to look into this further. My only experience with psychedelics was at a teenage party, watching my mates crawl around the room running from imaginary spiders, and that didn't seem like fun to me or something I was keen on getting involved in. Searching for growth and healing, I challenged myself with fitness and self-care and got to the point where I felt I was as strong as I could be, but there was still something not right, as a permanent reminder of my past and my discomfort in life would continue to haunt me on a daily basis. Just knowing that I'd be like this forever was enough to cause anxiety and depression in itself. Being a big believer of things happening for a reason, when I stumbled upon some gold dot mushrooms during my jog, I thought I will pick some and look into this further. And at this stage in my life, I felt anything was worth a try. I researched until I knew a decent amount about the whole mushroom movement and learnt about the chemical makeup, history, trials, and everything there was to know. My research led me to dry the mushrooms out, grind them up, weigh them into 0.1 of a gram microdose, which I would self-administer 1 per day, 5 days per week. On day 1, noticed nothing. On day 2, I noticed nothing. And on day 3, I noticed a slight improvement in my mood. Day 4 was when I began to notice a big shift in my mood. My depression was lifting, and I was beginning to feel normal, which is a very abnormal feeling for someone who has felt this way for over a decade. My next 2 days I had off, yet continued to improve, and by the end of the following week I was feeling absolutely amazing. I cannot explain the joy I was feeling at this stage just by simply feeling normal. I was quite amazed by this result, and the questions I now had was, why wasn't I given this before? Why is it illegal? Can I get more of this medicine? What are the side effects? What are some other people's outcomes? These questions are what led me to the next part of my journey, and it's quite a magical journey from here in. I came to a point I was unable to find anything due to cold weather, and after a few weeks I could feel myself slipping back into my old broken record groove. Surely enough, I decided to buy some time by just having a few drinks, and within a week I was back in as dark a place as ever. I knew what I needed, but I couldn't get it, and at my darkest hour I asked for help from the universe. Feeling beaten with tears running down my cheeks, I hear a message, not a voice, but a message to my soul through feeling. It told me to walk into the forest, so reluctantly I did. I somehow knew exactly where to go and was led to a big clearing, which was kind of surreal, like a scene in a movie. There were literally thousands of mushrooms growing all around, on the ground, on the trees, and literally everywhere. It was truly magical. However, there didn't seem to be the specific mushroom I needed here. I could see there were many varieties of mushrooms and fungi, and although it wasn't what I was looking for, I was somewhat intrigued, so decided to take a sample of each variety so I could research what they actually were. They were beautiful, with many different colours, shapes and sizes, and it occurred to me I have never even given a thought to these during my life and the possibilities they may bring. After doing the research, I discovered that every specimen I collected had a purpose. Some were very potent medicinal mushrooms, and some delicious gourmet mushrooms, and one psychoactive, which was a cousin of the gold top. I was truly amazed by the diversity of the mushrooms I collected, and I wanted to know more about them. I researched their uses and preparations for making them into medicine, and learned that one fungi in particular, turkey tail, which I found growing in abundance, is a cure for certain cancers and a miracle immune booster. The more I researched and experienced, the more I realised how overlooked and truly amazing mushrooms and fungi are on all levels, not just medicine. One mushroom I found heals the earth from toxins placed there by humans, and every medicinal I found had different superpower properties. The history research revealed that these mushrooms have been used in many ways by indigenous tribes for thousands of years, for medicine, food, creating fire, spiritual growth and connection, and the list goes on and on and on. Ancient American Indians and powerful shamans used the ancient fruit for spiritual ceremonies, midwives for birthing, healing sickness, growing the mind and spiritual connection. My research revealed there is a physical connection which takes place when you take psilocybin in the brain, which in layman's terms fills the blanks and joins the dots, connecting you to your true self and purpose in life. I learnt that mycelium is what grows underneath the mushroom and connects all on Earth with a lightning-like fibre which covers 30% of the Earth's biomass. My next discovery was that our minds are like this mycelium, and psilocybin is the key to unlock the paths and connections in our brains. It's no coincidence that everyone in Silicon Valley is using this medicine, and it's no secret that this medicine has been kept from man since the early 1500s by those in power to prevent people becoming spiritually connected or smart enough to join the dots. People of this caliber would surely be too hard to control. Religion was created to help remove true spiritual connection, as were the ancient fruit. People having access to this would be way too difficult to control, so it was classed as unsafe and addictive, and this could not be further from the truth. The ancient fruit heals addiction, a bit differently to anxiety and depression, and I learned that I would need a single higher dose to deal with addiction. After my higher dose, I no longer felt I wanted alcohol, and my adulthood of addiction had ended. I no longer felt uncomfortable when I wasn't drinking, and I no longer desired alcohol in the slightest. And in fact, I couldn't understand why I had been drinking in the first place, as it made no sense. When you're in depression or addiction, it is like a broken record. They used to give people shock therapy to zap them out, but this is gentle, loving, and it allows you to see the situation from an outside perspective, which makes all the difference. The only side effects are getting to know your true self, learning to better yourself, becoming more spiritually connected, becoming kinder, more patient, and being truly excited about life, like a child, as we should be through our entire life. Life shouldn't be a drag, and it doesn't have to be. When you have depression, you are unable to connect the dots in your brain, and this is a game changer. When you're depressed, it affects not just you, but everyone around you. It can tear families apart, cause suicide, and the list goes on and on. The stigma around magic mushrooms is there because they are illegal, have not been used correctly, and we simply do not understand them, therefore fear them. Psilocybin is not a party drug, and is actually the opposite, as it's not about getting out of control, but actually more in control of who you are and who you want to be. This is still early days for me, but each day I'm learning more. And the more I learn, the more I understand that mushrooms and humans go hand in hand. And I truly believe that they are the answer to most of the world's problems and will assist in bringing the human consciousness to a level where it needs to be in this day and age in order to heal humanity and Earth. So I ask you, don't fear the mushroom, but rather seek to understand it. And I'm sure you will find the journey just as magical as I did. Peace and love.